Movie review. Anubhav Sinha launches an incisive inquiry into a disturbing truth. Anek has recently been released in the theatres, and to the fact that there have been various instances where the story revolves around the northeastern rebel groups, it turns out that the story was not based on a true story. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe our channel for more such updates. Ayushman Khurana's Anek just made its debut in the theatres, and the recent reviews came out claiming that the topic raised was exceptionally well, yet the makers could not portray the movie as it could have been. The story seemed to have more of fillers that were not required. The movie could have made an impact in society and to its racism, but it was not as expected. The storyline lingered a bit, and there was not much to watch before the first half. The audience seemed bored of the slow storyline, whereas everyone expecting the movie to be something more of Article 15 that was released back in 2019. Over the years, the Northeast has remained out of focus of not just policymakers but also Hindi cinema. Apart from A Stray Tango Charlie, one doesn't remember any mainstream Hindi film that addressed the insurgency in a part of the country that didn't get into a happy marriage, as one of the characters says in the film, with India in 1947. Anek is a deeply political film that asks why people of certain parts of the country have to repeatedly prove their love and worth for the country, and echoes the deep-seated distrust that a section of the northeastern people have for Delhi. Are we going after guns and ignoring the shoulders that are being used? Wonders the morally ambitious protagonist. Sinha is not keen on finding a foreign hand, he is interested in looking within. Drawing from real images and events, Sinha smartly unscrambles the politics of blusters and questions whether we really respect and celebrate the idea of India as envisaged in our constitution. Hard-hitting has become a cliche, but Sinha's dialogue consistently hit the nail on the head, at times letting his pen bleed. Smartly juxtaposing the northeastern issue with the Kashmir imbroglio, the film delineates the difference between peace and control, the ambitious meaning of special status, and how vested interests are keeping the fire burning. On the surface, it follows an undercover agent, Joshua Aman Ayushman Khurana, whose goal is to bring the biggest insurgent group that indulges in violence and drug trade to the table for peace accord. For this, he creates a fictitious rival group called Johnson, but in the process discovers that there is another organization by the same name quietly working to educate children, nurture the natural resources, and rehabilitate the youth addicted to drugs so that they don't remain dependent on the mainland for jobs and ration. Aman feels the government should talk to the group of people that is people's voice, but finds that his boss Abrar Butt, Manoj Pahwa, is more interested in winning over the group that creates the most noise and bloodshed. Following his political boss Kumud Mishra, he's been keen on sharing power with its leader Tiger Sangha. Lointabam Dorendra, the talk of building a statue, a film on surgical strike, and having momos in the conflict zone makes you chuckle. But when Abrar tells Aman that in a democracy people's voice could be heard only once in 5 years, it feels like there is dynamite beneath the seat. A Kashmiri Abrar brings his personal peeve to his job. He suspects that Aman is also doing something similar, as the agent is in a relationship with Adio, Andrea Kivusucha, the daughter of a school teacher, Miham Otzel, who is running a covert operation against the state. In a parallel track, Adio, a champion boxer, wants to win a medal for the country despite being discriminated against because of her regional identity. If we can root for Adio in Indian colors, why do we call girls like her Chinese? The question keeps troubling our conscience long after the credit roll. In a way, Anek is a counterpoint to the Kashmir Files kind of cinema because it doesn't demonize a particular section of people of the country and holds the politicians and bureaucrats and not people to account without a cut-off date. Ivan Mulligan's kinetic cinematography guides our gaze. After Article 15, this is Mulligan's second film with Sinha, and one could say that two have arrived at a common point of view. Similarly, Mangesh Thakre's background score, which has become a constant feature in Sinha's films, lends the film its action thriller tag. It is good to watch Ayushman Khurana flexing his muscles and get out of the boy next door parts. The beard suits him, as one of the characters in the film compliments him, but as Aman gets embroiled in a moral battle, Sinha doesn't provide Ayushman with enough material to chew on. The relationship between Aman and Ido also hanging in the mountain air. Andrea, with her innocent yet incisive gaze, shines as the knave Adio. But eventually, her story reduces to box that needs to be tickled if you are discussing Northeast. No such issues with Pahwa. The consummate actor once again features in a well-rounded performance. His ifs and buts sounds casual and cruel at the same time. In fact, it is his conversations with Mishra and Dorender that form the believable crux of the narrative. They remind us of some of the real-life characters that populate our social political universe. Sinha has also respected diversity in casting. Besides a strong northeastern cast, it is good to see J. Chakrabarti back in an interesting cameo as a police officer from Telangana. However, over the course of the trilogy, the urge to editorialize his story seems to have seeped into Sinha the reporter. There are passages when it seems the characters are reading out effusive edit pieces than being a part of a congent story. At times, the director seems to be using them to tide over the gaps in the storytelling. The strand of how a young boy Nico Tejasavur Belho turns into an extremist is poignant and heartrending. But when it is stressed beyond its potential, it stops working. Even some of the action sequences, including the one towards the end, feel overwrought. Somehow, the combination of the text and the subtext doesn't turn out to be as seamless as it was in Mulk and Article 15. Still, Anek needs to be watched for its incisive inquiry into a disturbing truth that needs to be faced.